Excellent. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is 2 o'clock on the dot. We are just going to make sure everyone is muted for the presentation today. Excellent. So, 2021 Business Summit has kicked off today. It's been a big day. And today we've got our workshop, Email Marketing, How to Reach Your Customers and Where They Are, with Diane Barr, founder of Image Reps and a certified constant contact partner. Diane, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So nice to see you virtually and be able to pick your brain about email marketing from a constant contact rep.
Excellent.
That being said, Diane, I'm going to turn it right over to you, my friend. We do have a portion of Q&A built into this presentation. Feel free to enter your information in the chat box. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them there. We'll facilitate the questions at the very end with Diane. Diane, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So again, 2021, here we are in our virtual email marketing for success presentation. I'm so excited to be here with you today to kick off your business summit and to talk about email marketing. Just a little bit about me, as soon as I can get my slides to move. There we go. I am actually the founder of a digital marketing agency called Image Reps. We do everything from online digital presence and reputation management to social media, website design, graphic design, and of course, email marketing. We are certified constant contact partners. And when I founded my agency just over 5 years ago, and we were looking for a partner to help us with our small businesses, Constant Contact was the first platform that we went to, and we have not looked back since. They have a really robust platform that I'm excited to share with you today, and it really is great for all sizes of business. My agency focuses on small and medium-sized businesses, and we really spend most of our time helping those businesses find new business online and then interact with those customers online as well. So I'm really excited to be here today and talk about all things constant contact and email marketing. So let's jump in. Today, we're going to cover a couple of topics. One, and this is the question I get most of all when people ask me about email, is how do I grow my email list? So we'll talk a little bit about that and a little bit about the do's and don'ts that come with growing your email list. We'll talk about 7 elements of an email and how to best write your email. How to design a specific call to action and make sure that those emails are driving revenue for you, whether it's virtually or in your own stores. And then finally, how to finalize and send your email campaign once you're all finished. So a little bit of a 101 when it comes to email marketing. Before I jump in the chat function, how many of you are currently using email marketing on a regular basis? Regular, once a month, twice a month? Anyone in here currently doing that? Okay, great. So I see some monthly, I see some bi-weeklies out there. Good, great to know. So one of the questions that I get a lot of times when I do these presentations is why email marketing, right? Out of all the other ways that you can market your business, why email marketing? First and foremost, the #1 app on smartphones these days is email. And more than half of all emails are opened on a mobile device. So for those of you that are sending a lot of email, those of you that aren't sending a lot of email, one of the things to think about and we can talk about today is that now your emails need to be able to display both on a computer and on a mobile device. And that's been a big challenge for a lot of people in the past few years. So it's really important to kind of keep that in mind as you're building them. A couple of other reasons on why email. 91% of people check their email daily. 88% regularly check email on their smartphones. And I don't know about all of you, but before I get out of bed in the morning, when I grab my phone, the first thing I check is my email, right? It's probably the last thing I check before I go to sleep at night, and the first thing I check in the morning. So, it is a really great way to get in front of people, and it's reliable. So email gets delivered about 90% of the time. If you're a Facebook fan or an Instagram fan, social media fan, as compared to Facebook, Facebook says that about 2% of your fans actually see your posts on a regular basis based on their algorithm. So when you're looking for kind of that ROI of whether you want to put some money behind email or whether you're going to put your time behind it, it really does have a very high success rate. And it works everywhere. So, your followers don't have to be on Facebook. They don't have to be on Instagram. They don't have to be on Twitter. You get that email address and you can get right in front of them. Finally, email marketing has 3 times the conversion rate as social media. And on average, we see about $44.25 ROI for every $1 that you spend on email. So, it really is kind of that, when we think about digital marketing, this is the first place that we go with our clients, and we ask them what their email list looks like, what their activities are, and how they're looking at that. So over the next few slides, we'll talk a little bit on how to maximize and see how you can get that ROI for yourself. And then also talk about how to measure it. Because a lot of times we hear from clients that they're sending emails, but they're not looking at the metrics afterwards, and they're not quite sure why they're not working. So hopefully by the end of today, you'll know some tricks for designing some emails and some ways to measure it to see if it's successful. So if we jump right into how to grow your email list, this is a really important one. And a lot of times it's a little bit too overlooked by people. And I'm sure that everyone on this call today, being in Canada, especially knows that permission is really important, right? So gone are the days where you could go out and buy a list and send to 10,000 people that you bought for $350. Gone are the days where you can look at your own personal email lists and say, I think all these people would want to hear from me. In today's world, it's really, really important that you get permission. The great thing about Constant Contact is they have a lot of ways for you to get that permission, and a lot of ways for you to make sure that you're following the regulations that go along with those permissions. So, first thing that you have to think about is, how did you sign up? So everybody could think for just a second, the last time you signed up for an email, how did you sign up? Drop in the chat to me a couple ways that you've signed up for emails before. To get a discount, that's a great way to sign up for an email. We've all had those pop-ups that pop up right at the end of the website after they offer you a 50% discount and you need to sign up to get the coupon. Great way to do it. Get a download. Susan, you have some great ways to sign up. End of a survey, at the time of purchase, all great ways. So within the email marketing world, we really bucket these into 3 different ways that you can get signups for your business. You can get signups in person, print, and online. And a lot of times people say to me, print, how can I get email signups in print? But there's a lot of ways that you can use print to your advantage when it comes to email. First and foremost, we'll look at in person, because that really is sometimes the easiest way to get that permission. Just ask, right? So as you're having your in-person interactions, when somebody's making a purchase in your store, when you're helping someone at your events, those are all great ways in person to get those email addresses. So as you're checking people out, you can have them write down their email address and enter it into a database. One of the great things about Constant Contact and a lot of email providers is that you can use an app. So there's an integration that hooks right into your Constant Contact account. You can take a tablet and put that app right on the tablet, have it at your point of purchase, and you can have those people fill that out while you're finishing checking them out. Or if you're an event, if you're at a trade show or something in the industry, I know they're a little limited right now, but hopefully they'll come back soon. It's great to be able to have those on your table to have people fill out and join your email lists while you're at those events. And it's super easy for you. You can put it on the tablet, lock it just to that page, and it's a great way to have interactions. If you're talking to 2 or 3 people, hand one a tablet and continue a conversation with someone else. Beauty of that is when you use an email service provider, it goes right into your list and there's not another step involved. If you're doing a business card drawing or a physical sign up in your store, you can upload those lists via Excel, so you don't have to upload them one at a time, and make it a little bit faster to upload. In print, you can use signage at your location. You can put it on your business cards or in flyers or direct mail. And a lot of times people say, what's the easiest way to do that? Couple of things when it comes to print. You can use a text to sign up offer, and within Constant Contact, there's a feature where they can text and you can sign right up for the email via text. You can also use a QR code. So I know a long time ago, QR codes came out, and all of us in marketing looked at QR codes and said, they're going to go away in 6 months and nobody's going to talk about QR codes anymore. And then along came a world where we don't touch anything, and QR codes have come back rapid fire and they're everywhere. But the good news is now the smartphones have the ability to just scan that QR code and it goes right into the database. So there's lots of free QR code generators out there. It's super, super easy to make one for your own landing page and have people have that ability to sign up right from their device really quickly. So if you're going to send something out in print, if you're doing print advertising, we highly encourage you to have a QR code for your email sign up so that it's right there. It's a great way to say, for more communication from XYZ business, be sure to sign up with for our emails. And then finally, online. This is really where everybody thinks email happens, and a lot of it does happen. But a couple places to check just to make sure that you have a way to sign up on all of your own digital channels on your website. Do you have a place to sign up for your email on your website? Is it easy to find? And do you know where the results go? You'd be surprised at how many people we talk to that say, yes, we have this great form embedded in our website to collect our email addresses. And we say, where does that form go? And they say, gee, I'm not sure. So make sure that you know both sides of that equation and know where those emails are going. In your social media, you can integrate right into social media channels via Facebook, a form to sign up for email. If you're going to use LinkedIn, you can put it right in your bio. If you're going to have a way to sign up for emails from there, or in your email signature. It's a great way to throw that QR code in or throw a link right over to your sign up form to get more people to sign up for your newsletter. Just because you're emailing with them directly, they might not have access, they might not have been subscribed to your list. So I just saw a question pop into the chat. Thank you so much for interacting on examples of good websites for QR codes. And I will send that off to you. I have 3 or 4 that I use. I don't have them right in front of me now, but I will certainly send that off to you after the proposal. So from an online perspective, there's lots of great ways to collect that information and pull it all together. Biggest question that we get a lot also is, what do you do after people sign up? So for example, for my business, we have people that sign up because they're interested in our website design. We have people that sign up for our list because they're interested in email marketing. We have people that are interested in social media. We have people that are interested in just everything marketing in general. It's really helpful to us to be able to segment those people based on what their interests are, because it helps us really target them. So if I'm running an offer on 3 months of free social media marketing, I can send that to everyone who's interacted with me on a social media perspective, as opposed to someone who's really interested in email marketing. I can send them targeted offers as well. So we highly encourage you to set up your segmentation when you set up your email marketing, because as your list gets bigger, sometimes it's a little hard to get that segmentation in there. We actually had to segment a 10,000 person list a few months ago that wasn't segmented in the beginning. And I can tell you, after 47 hours of work trying to segment it correctly, you don't want to wind up in that position. So as you're setting email marketing up, we really encourage you to sit back and think about, how would you talk to those people if they were in a room in front of you? And what different topics would you talk to them about? Obviously there's times when you want to email the whole team at the same time, or the whole audience at the same time. But there's also some great case studies for emailing them in different groups. One of the fabulous things about Constant Contact as well is that you can actually create one email and put dynamic content in it. So for example, if you were a restaurant and you wanted to do an email that had 3 different parts, one for someone who was interested in brunch, one for someone who was interested in your bar service, and one for someone who was interested in private dining, you could do one email, and the platform would actually pick up who subscribed to each list and show them the content that was only relevant to them. So no need to do 3 different emails. You can do it within one email, put some dynamic content in there, and it'll put the right content for the right person. So this is really a great feature. It requires a little bit of setup on the part of the user and some thinking about how you want to interact with them. One of the other things that you can do with segmentation is you can actually make segments based on where people click in your email. So if you have an email that says, click here to purchase, that'll automatically create a list for you of people who've purchased from you, and you can target them differently in the future as well. So segmentation is really powerful when it comes to email success and getting the right message in front of people. We try to explain it in the fact that you wouldn't want to watch commercials for 50 different things if you weren't interested. You'd want them to be much more targeted for you. So it's a great way to get that right message in front of the right person. So after you get people into your list and you put them in the right buckets and you're ready to send to them, what do you do with it next? One of the things that we say is most important when it comes to an email is first impressions, right? Just like you only have one chance to make a first impression in person, you have one chance to make a first impression of someone when that email hits your inbox. And they really do matter. So think about, how do you make sure you're doing the right things to be effective in each of your email campaigns? When we talk about emails, we talk about 7 elements of a particular email. And you can actually set up templates in an email provider to make this a little bit easier for you and keep it really brand consistent. But the 7 pieces of an email that we look at when we design are the header and the pre-header, your logos and your colors, the image that you're using, the body of the message or the meat, what are you trying to get out there, a call to action, and a footer. We are always surprised by how many emails we get here in the office that don't have a call to action, whether it's just follow us on social media or click here to buy or share your thoughts, join our email list. Without a call to action, an email really is just a note. So it's really important to keep that call to action in mind as you're building the email. If you want to make it a little bit easier for yourself, make 1 or 2 master templates that really keep your emails on brand. And make sure that they accurately display your logo and your colors and your footer. You can set them up to have different layouts, but have them all look the same so that when an email comes into the inbox, people can trust who it's from because they understand the consistency of the visuals. A lot of times people will say, what's the difference between using Outlook or Gmail to send an email and an email provider like Constant Contact? And it's really difficult to get an email to look on brand and really exemplify your business through something that doesn't have the back end with the logo and the colors and the footer and things like that. So if you want to look professional and you want to send lots out, it really does take kind of some of that back end programming to make them have that consistent look and feel. So after the logo and the colors and the footer that would stay the same through all, the things that change for us on a regular basis are the subject and the pre-header, the images, the message, and then the links. So once you get that template set up, it's really a matter of thinking of what goes into these other 5 elements as you design your emails. The first piece that anyone sees in your email is this top section up here. So they're seeing who the email's from, they're seeing where they can reply to, what the subject is, and then what the pre-header is. Now, this will display differently based on how your clients are looking at this or your customers are looking at this, whether it's Gmail, whether it's Outlook. One of the things that's really important is to pick an email address that people will trust. So whether it's info at your company, whether it's Diane at your company, we really recommend putting 5 or 6 different ones in if you have a lot of different divisions within your company, so that people can assimilate who it's from and not think that it's spam. You want to really keep this personal. And then you want to make sure that there's a good reply in here, that people trust who it's going back to. From a subject perspective, this in my mind is the key to get in the door. So having an effective subject is super important. It really gets people to decide whether they're going to open that email and read it or whether they're going to hit delete. The from and the reply get you into their internet service provider. The email gets you into the individual's accounts. And that's really, kind of how we look at it from a basic perspective. One of the things that's really important from a from perspective is to make sure that you verify your domain within your email provider. It's usually really simple. You can go into your settings, but it gives you more credibility with some of the bigger email providers out there, and make sure that you don't wind up in junk, or even worse, that you don't wind up blocked by some of those internet service providers. So if we look at subject lines, one of my favorite places, this is where I get really creative. I love coming up with a subject line, and I have been known to come up with a really good subject line at 3 o'clock in the morning as I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden a really great subject line for a client comes up to me, and I always keep a notepad next to my bed so that I can write it down. I am one of those crazy marketing people that come up with really weird ideas at 3 a.m., but it's the fun part of my job. And I see a few hands going up in the air that you are too. Good, I'm not alone. So a couple of ways that you can impact your subject line. And these have been tested on tens of thousands of people. Constant Contact and some other mail providers did some research on these, and these came up to be what people think is to be the most effective way to get emails open. So first and foremost, and this one always surprises me, is use numbers. Not a lot of people put numbers in their subject line, so it really does stand up. So if I was a restaurant, 5 tips for perfectly grilled ribs. Using those numbers in there is really helpful. Ask questions. This is my favorite, and just from a personal email perspective, this is what gets me to open emails more than anything, is having a subject line in a question in the subject line. Especially if it's something that I can relate to and it makes me think. I'll open an email from someone that I'm not as particularly sure I know if it's a really good subject line, just because I find really good subject lines interesting. Pique their interest. So you don't want to miss this. Special offer you can't resist. Things like that that really pique people's interest. Did you know the best sale is happening next month, kind of thing. Pull at their heartstrings. So, this one tugs at me a little bit, but to be able to pull at those heartstrings and get people in there, especially if you're a nonprofit and you have a big event coming up that the event will sponsor, being able to really touch someone and connect with someone is a great way to get more email opens. Make them laugh. This is another fun one of mine. I love to laugh. So we had a restaurant that did read between the wines instead of read between the lines as a subject line. Really high opens on that one. Sense of urgency, always really good, especially if you are doing time-sensitive promotions. So we have a client that does a huge Cyber Weekend promotion. All of their subject lines have a sense of urgency. 24 hours left, 12 hours left, 8 hours left, those kind of things, to get people to realize that maybe I don't want to push that one off until tomorrow or until Monday. And then one of the other ones that works really well, and this is really easy to do when you use an email service provider, is to make them personal. So I know a lot of times if I see my name in the subject line, I realize that it's a closer connection with me. So instead of just saying, schedule your consultation today, John, schedule your consultation today. Couple of things to avoid in your subject lines. All caps. Just like all caps is shouting in regular email, shouting in social media, shouting in anything written, it is shouting in your subject lines as well. But not only will people ignore it, the internet service providers will ignore it as well. So this is a tried and true way to wind up in a spam folder by using all caps. Also, excessive punctuation and symbols. So if you're asking a question in your subject line, 1 question mark is great because it's grammatically correct. 7 question marks will put you in the spam folder. So really important to keep that punctuation to a minimum. Symbols as well, lots of excess symbols. I don't know if you've ever seen somebody send out an email that has 10 or 15 symbols on either side. Most internet service providers won't even put that in your inbox. It goes right to your spam, right to your junk. So keep those symbols out there. We have some clients that love putting emojis in their subject line. They really can add some character to a subject line. If you're going to use emojis, we recommend no more than 2 and put them both on the back end as opposed to one on the front end, one on the back end. We've just seen much better results having them put both at the back side than one on either side. And again, especially restaurants, we have a florist that always puts some flowers on the back end of her subject lines. And it starts to become your signature if the emojis are meaningful. If they're just crazy emojis that you're throwing in because you love emojis, probably doesn't make sense. But there are some businesses out there that it really does work and it makes those subject lines stand out just a little bit. So the next part that we talk about is the pre-header. And this is really important because it kind of differentiates the body of your email from the rest of your email. So if you use Outlook, if you use Gmail, some people still use AOL, Hotmail, those providers. Yes, we do have some Hotmail and AOLs out there still. I see some smiles on that one. Each of those will display it differently. So the pre-header can sometimes be in the inbox, like you see on the screen. Sometimes it can be the first line of an email. But ISPs really do look for that. And it is another way to wind up in the inbox as opposed to the spam folder. Typically, we say no more than 5 to 8 words for a pre-header because you don't know based on the different service provider where they're going to truncate it. So 8 is the max that we recommend. 5 is the minimum that we recommend for this. And we really recommend that it ties into that subject line so that this whole top part of the email tells the story. And again, it's great at catching people's attention and getting people to open your email. But these components are also really important from a deliverability perspective, making sure that you wind up in an inbox versus a spam folder. So if we look at some combinations of subject lines and pre-headers, if we look at my recommendation for using numbers, 5 tips for perfectly grilled ribs, ribs that will knock your socks off. So they tie back and forth to each other and they really connect. Are your investments working for your business? 3 questions to ask to maximize your results. So I really like this one because it uses 2 of those tips. It asks a question in the subject, uses a number in the pre-header, and gives you kind of 2 great ways to make that connection with the reader. Piquing their interest, you won't want to miss this. Get our 3 secrets to growing your business. So again, we pique their curiosity in the subject. We use a number in the pre-header. Take 5 minutes to help children in need. $10 can provide a child with school supplies. Read between the wines. Enter your photo for a chance to win big. Photo contests, any type of contest, any type of sweepstakes does really well on emails. On this one, I love the humor in the first, but we do find that when you're running a sweepstakes, the sweepstakes details do better in the subject than in the pre-header. So don't take a chance of people not seeing that they have a chance to win. Put that right in the subject and then back it up in the pre-header. So either way will work. And I just love the read between the lines on this one for the fun side of it. But if you're running a contest, you want that front and center because people just jump at the word contest. Last chance, register by Friday. Reserve your spot today. Our classes fill quickly. John, schedule your consultation today. Personalized tips to lead a happy life. So, really pulling all of those pieces together and telling that story before they even get to the meat of your email is really important. One of the questions that we hear a lot is, I'm just not getting a lot of people to open my emails. The first place that we go to look at that is the subject line. And then after the subject line, the next thing that they're going to see is a supporting image. So when you look at an email, a lot of times you'll see people that take the supporting image and make it the entire body of the email. So have you ever gotten an email where it shows up in your inbox and all you see is the subject, the pre-header, and then you just see the little X with the alt tags next to it and you don't see anything else? I really recommend not making your email one big image. Having an image at the top is fabulous. Having a well-crafted email at the top is even better. You would be amazed at how great of a picture you can capture of your own business with a smartphone these days. The cameras that they have on them are just phenomenal. Within the email providers, you can crop them to the right size. You can make them look good right in your own email, right in the email provider. You don't need to use a graphic design program. You can even lighten them up in there. You can do lots of great editing within there. If you're going to go with the stock, there's lots of great stock photography websites out there. Make sure that you have the rights to the picture. A lot of times people send me a picture from Google and say, hey, can I use this in my email? And the answer is only if you know the person that took it and only if the person who took it has given you permission. So there's tons of free stock options out there. If anybody's looking for a photo editing software, we highly recommend a program called Canva. They have a great free version that offers you some pictures. It's a great small business tool, really inexpensive. I think their professional version is $10 a month, $12 a month. And it really is a fabulous tool for your business if you do a lot of picture editing or things like that. And it's super simple to use, just kind of drag and drop to make that work. So this image captures people's attention. You want to make sure it's not blurry. You want to make sure that it's really crisp. And more important, you want to make sure that it really identifies your business. So the size that we use in our emails is generally 600 pixels wide by 300 pixels, because that gives you the ability to have the picture at the top of the email and a little bit of text before what we call the fold. So the fold is where you have to scroll more to see the email. And you really want to make sure that you're using that portion to the best of your ability. Anything bigger than that, and people are going to have to scroll just to see the image. And you want to make sure that you don't have to do that. Another thing to think about is don't forget about video and animated GIFs. So GIFs are just what you see on the right-hand side. It's scrolling pictures. So if you're promoting a new line of shoes in your shoe store, you could actually make a really quick GIF that scrolls through 5 or 6 of the different shoes that you have in stock that you want to use. It's a super way to catch people's attention in your inbox because, believe it or not a lot of people use this. And research shows that emails with GIFs typically get a 12% higher return on investment than those without. So, strategically put them in there. I wouldn't recommend doing it in every one because then they start to become just normal. But every couple of emails or so, throw a GIF in there. Again, you can use a program like Canva to make it really fast. You can use a program like Giphy, which helps you make them as well. And you can actually embed these right in the email. If you want to put video into your email, you will need to do what you see on the left, and you'll need to put a picture of the video with the arrow on it, and it will need to link somewhere else because you can't embed that right into the email. But it's a great way to showcase your business. It's a great way to make that email stand out, and it's just a little bit different than everybody else that's competing for space in your inbox. So once you've gotten that picture down, couple things that you want to think about when you write the email. We generally say there's 3 questions that you want to ask yourself when you're writing an email. What are you offering? And you want to put that in your headline so it stops the reader right away. How's it going to help the reader? And then what should they do next? If you're answering more than 3 questions in an email, put it into a different section so that you're keeping it clear. We've all gotten those emails that ramble on and they're 15 paragraphs long and you get to the bottom and you can't figure out what anybody was trying to say. So, if you have 6 or 7 different topics, we would really encourage you either to segment your list and send those topics to the people that they are most relevant to, or break it into 3 or 4 different emails. Because if you're putting that much into an email, chances are people aren't scrolling to the bottom and they're not going to see it anyway. So, before you even get into the design phase of it, really think about what is it that you're trying to say and how are you going to get that information out there. So a couple examples that we really like. This one here talks about, this one was for a river cleanup. So what are they trying to accomplish? They're trying to get people to share photos from the river cleanup day. Why should they care? In the message body. And then what should they do? They should share their photos. So really simple, short, sweet call to action for a nonprofit that was trying to get some content from their river cleanup day. Here's a great one for a spring sale from a florist, right? So they used a picture, they used a paragraph, and they used a call to action. It's a spring sale, shop now. If I get this email in my inbox, I know exactly what I'm supposed to do with it, and I don't have to think about it. Really well designed with a great picture, some great colors, and it really stayed on brand. So speaking of call to action and shop now, as I mentioned, a lot of emails go out without a call to action. Really important part of the email. Ways you can use call to action, right? So you can make a purchase. That's the simplest, right? So buy now, shop now, order yours today. They're going fast. Schedule a time to volunteer, donate now. Really simple, straightforward. This one, schedule your free consultation. Free works really well in your calls to action. So if you're a service provider and you offer a 15-minute consultation, if you offer a complimentary assessment, the word free does really well in consultation. Deal does really well in consultation. Deal does really well in your calls to action. Save now, buy now and get 10% off, claim your coupon, unwrap your surprise deal. You want to paint a picture to people. If you have limitations on your offer, because we all do, right? May not be combined with other offers, blackout dates may apply, restrictions may apply. Put those under your call to action so that that specific call to action really jumps out at people in the email. You can still keep them all in there, just pull them out of the specific button or call to action. When you're building those, be sure you're tracking them. So I talked a little bit in the beginning about segmenting by clicks. So within Constant Contact, for example, as you're building that button, you would assign segmentation directly to that button so that you would be able to go back and look at everybody that's clicked there, or even better, send them a follow-up email a few days later, thanking them for downloading your white paper, thanking them for looking at the shoes, thank them for scheduling a consultation. Makes your life so much easier to see who's interacting and to be able to help them kind of post analysis of the email. Another thing that you can do if you're just sending out kind of a general awareness is you can promote your social media channels on your emails. It's a great call to action to say, like us on Facebook, share a photo on Instagram, be our friend. It's a great way just to connect and send out a hi without having to have a specific buy now, purchase now call to action, but to create a deeper connection to your clients. And then last but not least, you can use email call to actions to get feedback, right? So Google reviews are fabulous for your business. They help you rank higher on an organic search channel. So you really want to get as many of those reviews as you can. Google reviews, Facebook reviews, TripAdvisor if you're in one of those service businesses. But just a general feedback email after someone interacts with you is a great way to get to use another call to action. For any of you that host events, you can drive event registrations with the call to action. Register now, count me in, save my spot, I'll be there, don't miss this event. One thing to take away from today is people that are interacting with you digitally generally prefer to continue to interact with you digitally. So we've seen a lot of people make a button that doesn't link or go anywhere that just says call to place an order. If someone's reading your email, there's a very large chance that they want to interact with you online. So even if it's just a form that they can fill out for you to call them back at another time. I mean, I know there's a lot of things in businesses that can't be done online these days still. If that's the case, create a form that they can fill out for you to call them back so that they feel like they've closed the circle. If someone's interacting with you online and they need to step offline to interact with you, there's a chance they're going to Google and try to find someone else that they can stay online for. So if you can close that loop and say, contact us, and it just grabs their name, their email address, their phone number, and you can hand it off to one of your associates or yourself to call them back at another time. It's a great way for them to feel like, okay, I've finished this process and I trust that someone will get back to me with it. You can actually build those forms right within Constant Contact as well as a landing page. So as you're building the email, you can build that landing page and that form all in one spot. So it's really important that you give them a spot to take action, whether it's sharing photos on Facebook or sending them to your website. It's just really important to make sure that you're giving them a place to go with that. And as you're thinking about that email and thinking about content, just keep those three things in mind of what are you trying to accomplish with your business? Are you trying to sell something? Are you trying to gain followers? Are you trying to connect with more people? Why should the reader care, and how can the reader get involved as you're building those calls to action? And then last but not least is how do you finalize the campaign and what do you do after you send it, right? So once it's gone, you're not completely off the hook yet. There's some things to look at and some things to do. First thing that we recommend is check, check, and double check. We've all done it. We've all hit send on an email. We've all reread the email about 10 minutes later and going, oh, I can't believe that that's in there. So check, check, and double check. We highly encourage you having someone else double check for you, because no matter how many times you've looked at it, there versus there will come up. You'll spell one of them the wrong way, or one of those crazy words that you spell check just doesn't count, doesn't catch. We also recommend reading it out loud. And people always look at me and say, I feel so crazy when I read my emails out loud and there's no one else in my office and I'm just reading it out loud to my dog. But if you read it out loud, you typically will find things that you won't find if you're just reading it in your head, because we tend to skim over things. If you have a dog, read it to your dog. If you have a cat, read it to your cat, because it's a great way for you to realize exactly what's in there. You can send yourself a test through any internet service provider. You can send someone else a test. You can preview what the email is going to look like. If you think back to when, in the very beginning, when I talked about people opening on mobile devices, one of the great things about being able to preview your email is you can see what it's going to look like on a desktop, on mobile, and on a tablet. And that's really important because you want to make sure that it looks the way you want it to look on all three of them. Look back over the content and make sure that you've answered the three questions, right? You make sure that it has a call to action. And this one's really important because I can't tell you how many times this has happened to me. Always test your links. So after you've read your email, after you've read it out loud, click on all of your links and make sure that they go to the place that you want them to go. I've had emails go out that have gone to the wrong place. I've had emails go out that the link was mistyped, but it went randomly to somewhere else that wasn't anywhere related to the business. And if you put so much time and effort into making this email go out, and you put so much time and effort into thinking through, you want to make sure that it's going to the correct spot. And then finally, once it's out, once you've hit send, you want to measure what matters, right? So when you look at an email, some of the things that we look at is my email list healthy? So we talked in the beginning about how to get people to sign up, right? Again, gone are the days of buying lists, gone are the days of just importing 1,000 people and hoping for the best that it'll go out there. The ramifications of doing that in today's world are really big. If that happens, you can become blacklisted, and it really just is not a good thing for your business. So it's really important that you look at the unsubscribes and the bounces for each campaign and make sure that those numbers aren't excessively high. If you're seeing bounces over 5 to 7%, if you're seeing unsubscribes over 1 to 1.5%, you really want to go back through your list and you want to look and see why that's happening. Maybe your list is really old and a lot of people have changed their email providers. You could always try and figure out who they are and reach back out to them. Bounces are a little bit different in the fact that there's two types of bounces. One bounce is a hard bounce, which means that that email address doesn't exist anymore. So there's no way for that email to ever get to the person. The other one is a soft bounce, which means that they're on vacation. They have an out of the office reply. They may be out on maternity leave, something like that. Soft bounces won't impact your reputation as an email sender, but hard bounces will. So as you're looking at those numbers, you want to look at the difference. I have clients that come back to me and say, we have a 15% bounce rate on this. What happened? And I say, okay, well, a lot of people have changed jobs. A lot of people have had to take a lot more vacation than normal based on COVID and things that have happened. People have changed jobs. So it's important to break those bounces down into two. Did people see my emails? How many people opened the email? So there's an open rate right in your report, and it'll tell you what percentage of people opened that email. If you're seeing a really low open rate, it could mean that you're not hitting people's inbox and you're hitting their spam. So you can look at things like, have I verified my domain through Constant Contact or my email provider? You can look at, are my subject lines effective? Are my pre-headers effective? Am I sending it from someone that seems reputable, or am I sending it at support@xyzdomain.com, right? So making sure that people are getting it is really important. And then last but not least is, was my content engaging? And how many people are clicking in it? And at the very end of the day, how many people are taking action from those clicks? So email is a great way to connect with people. We really think that it's a fabulous strategy, but if it's not driving you business, you want to reevaluate that strategy and figure out how to change it, because at the end of the day, what it should be is a business driver for you. So I'm going to pause for 1 second and see if there's any questions in the chat on the content.
I had some questions come in. I'm just going to check my little sheet and see if there's any specific to content. The one that I got that came up, gated content versus subscribe when trying to build your email list. Someone would like to know what your opinion on that is, Diane. Do you prefer gated content to get it, or just to subscribe?
So, it depends on your business. Gated content can be a very effective way of building your list, and you can really determine what people are interested in. So gated content meaning, in order for people to see a download or to see a specific part of your site or to get a tour of something, they have to provide information. It can be really helpful in the fact that you then understand what they're really interested in. So if you have 7 different white papers or 7 different ads on different things, and you want to be able to understand further what people are interested in, it's a great way to use that gated content, because then they have to tell you where their interests lie. If you're just starting out with your email list and you're trying to build it, we recommend ungated until you get to that point where you have a solid base, and then use gated to really kind of put the icing on the cake, if you will, of your list, and be able to go from there. And you can use gated content even for a list that you already have, because it will tell you just that, right? So you could send it to all 10,000 of your subscribers, but they have to re-enter information in a specific spot so that you can see exactly what it is they're interested in.
Great answer.
Anyone else that hasn't typed a question into the chat, if you want to type it now, I'm just going to flip through some of these. There's some great suggestions in here. There's a lot of recommendations for pexels.com for stock images, and then a few echoes of Canva.
I did have a couple other questions sent right to me.
Okay.
One of the others were, what do you do if you find a lot of your emails are getting caught in spam filters? Even if
Excellent question. So the first thing that we would recommend is that you look at whether your domain is verified or not. And I know I've mentioned that a few times today, but it is such a critical part in getting started with email. Within Constant Contact, that's a process that you can do. They actually have 3 different levels of verification. One where you're just sending an email to your email to verify that you own it. The second one is where you're actually using an authorized send through Constant Contact. And then the third, which requires a little bit more of a process, is where you actually enter something in the DNS of your own web hosting so that every time you send it, it's sending out a message saying, look, we've verified this domain. It's not a fake domain. You can trust it, right? So I would always start there and make sure that you're verified. If you are verified and you find that you're in spam, I would look at your subject lines first and make sure that you're not in any of those crazy traps. And then I would look at your content, right? So some of the things that can wind in the spam folder is, first and foremost, having an email with just an image. That's a really great way to wind up in spam because internet service providers don't see any text, so they don't think that it's a relevant email. So you want to make sure you have a good text to image ratio. You don't want to be too heavy on one side or the other. You want to have a good balance in there. You also want to look at the number of links you have. Having a high number of links, so more than 7, I would say, per email, 7 different unique links in an email can wind you up in spam pretty fast as well. So if you're not seeing those high open rates, if you're not seeing high deliverability rates, looking into the email itself is a good place to go next.
God, you're full of fantastic answers, Diane.
Thank you.
I just shot one to you privately there.
Yep. Okay. So question came up on days of the week to send for higher open rates. So I get this question all the time. And there's been a ton of answers throughout my career, honestly. We generally find weekends are not the best to send emails from a business perspective. If you're offering great deals, sometimes they'll make their way into an inbox on the weekends. And we have tested some offers on Saturdays and Sundays that have done okay. We typically recommend Tuesday through Thursday as being the best for business related emails. We've seen higher open rates in the midday bracket, right? Because in the morning, people are kind of inundated with all the emails that came in overnight. In that 3 to 5 hour, people are hitting the inboxes before people leave. If you don't hit the midday, then we generally say early evening is a good time. People are checking their emails again, either right before or right after dinner. But one of the best ways to do this, because it really does vary based on email list, is to do some different tests within your own email list. So it's called A/B testing, where you send a group of emails out to, where you send an email out to group A and you send an email out to group B, and you can send them at different times with different subject lines and see what works best for your own audience. Just like your social media audiences are all going to be different, your email audiences may be as well. We have one client that, despite every test that we've done, the best time to send an email for them is Friday at 4. And I would never pick that as a good time to send an email, but it just so happens that the content that they're sending and the audience that they're sending to, it really resonates with them. So, sometimes it takes 4 or 5 emails when you first start doing this to figure out that timing. And we really highly encourage testing that every 6 months or so, just to see what works for you. There certainly are by industry averages and by sector, but it really does depend a lot on your own audience.
Excellent. And I had 2 more questions for you, Diane.
Perfect.
One came in saying, how often should I be e-blasting before I annoy my customers? or do you just let them unsubscribe themselves easily and focus on your more committed fans?
That's a great question. And I'm gonna just speak to the first part of it first. You should always have a good unsubscribe link in all of your emails to make sure that people have an easy way out. So you want to make sure that that's there, and then you want to hope that people don't use it, right? And I think first and foremost, it depends on how often you have relevant content, right? If you yourself are sitting at the desk going, what do I have to say today? You probably don't have relevant content, right? We tend to look at email marketing on a 3 to 6 month basis based on our clients and based on the businesses that they're in. But you should sit down at least 3 months in advance, preferably 6 months, to be able to say, okay, here's what my business will be doing in January. Here's what they'll be doing in February. Here's what they'll be doing in March, and so on. For example, our restaurant clients right now, Mother's Day here in the US is coming up, and it's a big holiday for a lot of our restaurants. So we're going beyond the one email that we usually send for small restaurants to do 3 to be able to promote getting people to sign up for Mother's Day. On a normal month, most of our small restaurants don't have more to say than here's what's happening this month, here's our special, and here's a really cool recipe. So, I would not send email daily. I'm not a huge fan of even sending email weekly unless you really have something to say. If your specials or your offers change weekly, if you have deals that come out weekly, you can test that and see how it does with your audience. But it really is about the content that you have more than how often you're going to annoy people.
The last question, sorry, my dog was just bowling away in the living room. I'm sorry about that. I felt like you could read it on my face. My last question for you, Diane, that came in was, what's your opinion of a good open rate? What should that percentage number be hovering around?
Excellent question. And again, it does vary a little bit by industry. We like to see anything around 18%. There's some industries where 15% is good. There's some industries where 22 to 25 is good. Anything below 18, and we're going into that email and going, okay, what went wrong on this one, right? So our clients average between 24 and 27% open rates. Anything below 20, and we're going back and saying, what could we have done differently on this one, and how do we change it up? Some of it could just be timing, but if you're hovering in those consistently, you really want to take a look at that.
Excellent answers all day long. That was a ton of information, Diane. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
I'm just going to give it last chance for questions. I know we had several kind of coming into me privately. I know some came to Diane there, but just last opportunity to ask a question before we wrap it up. Excellent. Perfect. Lots of thank yous in the chat. Excellent work today. Diane, we appreciate you. Was there anything else, any last words before we wind down? Any last bits of advice, nuggets of gold?
I don't know how many more nuggets of gold that I have, but I do have an offer for everyone that's on the call today. If anyone is not using email and they need to get set up on a provider, just for being here today, you get 30 days free from Constant Contact and 30% off your first 3 months. I did not do an actual demo today because it would have taken us way too long to go into the system, but we would be happy to do a demo and walk you through the system, show you how easy it is to use. You can use the link that's on your screen, bit.ly/start emailing now. That will sign up through us, and we'll be here to help you if you need it. If anyone is interested in any other marketing services, like I mentioned, we do websites, we do social media, or if you're interested in having us manage email for you, we do have 2 offers for that as well. So we were really excited to be here today, and we would love to talk to anybody that's interested in talking more.
Excellent. If you need to connect with Diane and you've missed the connection information, reach out to me. I will connect you via email, nice and warm. And that being said, this concludes the events for the 2021 Business Summit today. Just a couple quick things. Of course, tomorrow on the agenda, we have a 2 p.m. workshop on customer-centric focus led by Dennis Gielen, a local author, local leader. Check it out. Putting your customer first in a different way to look through things from a customer perspective. We also have our networking tournament happening every day this week at 12 o'clock. Other things on the agenda coming down the pipeline this week is the Funders Forum happening Wednesday at 4 p.m. That's where you can get your questions answered in the public and private sector, finances, financial relief, funding that's available, all of that good stuff happening Wednesday at 4. Down the line, we've got a couple other live workshops coming out. We've got inventory management in-house and online. We've got Shopify, Digital Main Street is coming. And we also have a social media marketing photography workshop coming up on Friday. There's also curated webinars accessible on the Business Summit webpage. Check it out. If you have any questions, reach out to me. If you need to connect with somebody, just reach out to me. We'll take care of it. And before I let you go, of course, a huge shout out to our partners, Peterborough and the Kawarthas Economic Development. We partnered together today to bring this summit to all of you. And the attendance is free because of our sponsors, BDC, Nexicom, Microage, Peterborough Whippy. We are grateful for you. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I'll catch you tomorrow.